Hello, everyone! Welcome to the Cool Story Show. I'm here with
David Meyer,
Alex Gurnett,
Andy Spiteri.
We're here tonight to talk about a question. If you could go somewhere into the past or the present, not the present because that's where we are. If you go into the future or the past, where would you go? How far would you go? Why would you do it? We're going to start with Andy Spiteri. Andy, if you could go.
To the past or to the future?
Either one.
Why don't we just start with past and then go to future? That way we can all
Andy, if you could go into the past.
I would go probably to the time when Jesus lived and just kind of, see the myth, see the legend, see what he was like. Some people debate if he was even a real person, so I would go and see the early days of his ministry and, who knows? You're changing history. Maybe you go and stop him from getting crucified or something.
You're probably, what's his name? The guy that gets him fucking killed.
Pontius Pilate, you dick.
No,
Judas?
Judas, you're Judas.
Assholes. I'll go back to when Alex Gurnett was born and strangled.
Hey, that's not that far.
No, so I would go back to when Jesus roamed the earth and, kind of see what life was like back there. And, I think it'd be really interesting to see the start of something so influential throughout history and witness its genesis.
All right, Alex Gurnett, back into the past.
I'll give you some questions then, since you're moderating. Do I have an effect on the future going there?
It's up to you. Would you rather be an observer, or would you want to have an effect?
I'd rather observe.
Okay, you're going back as observer.
And am I affected by past things that would normally kill someone?
What do you mean?
Like, so they hated gay people?
No, I went there and saw a volcano and it would have fucking incinerated me. Or
like, you were in Pompeii.
There, exactly. Or can I just be there as, I watched Pompeii happen? And I lived.
No, you're there. You're part of the environment.
Yeah,
but you're an observer.
You're
You're an observer. So you can't affect the future. Let's say with this
die
question. But you're an observer.
happens.
You're there. So
I go as far back as I possibly could into Earth's creation, where I would still survive for at least a decent amount. See, like when Earth was one continent or something like that. Way
We're talking like the dinosaurs.
Past that.
All right.
What's pre-dinosaur?
Oh, lots. There's nothing
the formation
on the planet
of
for a long
algae.
time. Yeah, literally from a one.
My question to you then, I guess, is what do you expect to see? Algae?
What the Earth was then. I mean, some of it might look really similar, but some of it might be completely different. It'd be cool to just, I don't know, be back in that time frame. Because, if you go back 2,000 years, it's a long time, but it's...
Yeah, fair enough.
In the grand scheme of things, when it comes to the Earth, where it's billions of years old, it's only that much. So, I'd like to go as far back as I could.
Okay. Dave Meyer.
I would go back and spend some time with the dinosaurs, man.
Really, the dinosaurs.
If I could find a bigger giraffe to ride, I would fucking do it.
Now remember, you're in danger here. You're spectating, but our T-Rex could bite your head off, or...
Don't make me start the Jurassic Park.
I was going to say, what song would you sing while you were there?
I just think
Lord of the Rings.
Ian Malcolm is not going to save you.
No.
I would still risk it, because going back and being part of a civilization that we don't have anymore...
But it's not a civilization. They were animals.
You know what I mean.
Okay.
Going back and spending time with a part of history that's essentially gone would be something incredible, because we've never seen a live dinosaur. We only have, just their bones that exist, so going and seeing one in real life would just be crazy.
So if you go back in time and then die back in time, you're dead?
You're done.
You're done.
Okay.
You're at risk if you're going back in time.
Now, let me ask you a question about Dave's going back and seeing the dinosaurs. Does he go back in time, see the dinosaurs, and maybe our concept of what they were and how they lived were totally wrong, and he figures out how it was actually done? Is there a way to bring him to the future so he can profit off of this?
But
like the dinosaurs, actually, they had fast food, they had banks, they're
partially
totally
on that though.
Yeah,
Dinosaurs,
just like that TV show.
Dinosaurs were.
Let's say this, gentlemen. You're going back into the future to spectate. You're just going back to movie title throwing. You're going back to the past just to see how things were.
Okay.
And you're just for the experience, and that's all.
Partially on what Andy said though, dinosaurs were over millions of years. T-Rexes weren't even around when pterodactyls were around, kind of idea. Like,
Actually, T-Rexes did not exist during the Jurassic period.
exactly, there's a Paleozoic, there's a Jurassic period, there's all those, so it's very a loose term to say I want to go see the dinosaurs.
I would
so.
take my time traveler's watch, spin it on fast forward, go back to the beginning of the Jurassic era,
No, that's cheating. That's cheating.
whistle the Jurassic Park theme song, and just stroll around the fucking world.
He knows our tune. Let him ride us.
You get stepped on by some kind of large animal.
Big
Probably.
fucking Triceratops.
I myself, way not as far back as you guys are all talking about, I would go back to the 70s. I would just do.
That's too far.
I would just do drugs. I'd get in a van. I'd bang a bunch of hippies. Preferably
They
females.
make a show about you called Scooby Doo.
Preferably females. I'd maybe solve mysteries with my friends. I'd go back and I just it's the birth of like tons of great music. It's like, you know, just fucking Woodstock. I would go Woodstock. I'd go
Woodstock would be
It'd be incredible. Like I don't have to go far back beyond
At
the
this
point of
point-
civilization to like. I think the 70s would be incredible to see.
Aaron is the most likely to be able to do it right now. You could just there's fucking people out there that are like from the 70s. You could do this right now if you wanted.
It's not the same though.
It's
Because
not
the
the
man
same.
is taking control,
Yeah,
Alex.
the
Okay,
machine.
it's not the same.
Let's say, hold on though. Let's say you go back to the 70s and maybe early 60s. You know, before like the Beatles were huge. You go back in time, rip them off, and steal all their songs. Like,
Remember, but like we said, we're only going back. We're not profiting. We're only going back to
we can't affect
experience.
I'm a liar and a thief, so I would definitely.
Profiting would be a complete different story.
When did you go
because-
back to?
Jesus,
They'd lynch you.
So
they
if
crucify
you,
me.
Could
You guys
I-
be
You'd, have
praying
to,
to
you'd
me.
have to be more important for that.
if I may, then just if to profit, where would you go to?
If I were to profit,
Yeah.
I would go back just before the Red Sox won the World Series, and I would bet that they did that, and I would make a fucking ton of money.
You?
I would partner up with Bill Gates.
Prophet, you said?
Yeah, you're
Back
going
to
back
Jesus.
to profit. Get 2 gold shillings.
Go.
No, I would seriously go and steal the Beatles songs.
I would go to beginning of Apple.
Get on the ground floor of Apple.
Could
With
what's-
invest as much as I
what's-
have
But,
into
no, but
Apple.
remember, Apple didn't start off very
No,
well.
I know, but I know where
They
they're
were
going to go.
fledgling for a long
I
time.
know they're going to suck through a certain amount of time, but suddenly hits the.
You go
mint.
back and you steal Apple. You have to replace Steve Jobs.
No, I'm not stealing. I'm investing. I'm not stealing.
You're investing.
I'm,
Okay,
just
okay,
I'm an
okay.
investor. in Apple.
Okay.
Okay. But here's the thing is, if you steal the Beatles songs, do you necessarily have the same outcome as when they did it?
He's just
Who knows?
stealing the
Do you
songs,
get
but he might not
shot
be
in Strawberry
popular.
Fields?
Maybe.
Here's one question to add on to this past thing. We went back to explore and experience. We went back to make money. If you were just to go back, not to explore and see anything cool, if you're just to go back to do something fun, you're just going to go back. You're just going to go there for fun.
Don't die.
But just
Oh,
quickly, where
man.
would you go? Where would you go to have a blast for like a week? You're taking a week's vacation into the past. Where would you go? You're just going to have a fucking blast. Where would you go? When?
Pompeii.
You'd go to Pompeii.
Literally a blast.
You'd get a great tan.
Alex, you better go first. man.
Alex Gurnett,
Yeah,
where
that's
would
a
you go to
tough
have some
one.
fun?
No,
That's tough.
Just
you go
a good
back
time.
And you're just having a blast. I'd go with Alexander the Great. That guy fucked shit up, and then he'd have a fucking great time.
And
You
then
just go back and
And
chill
then
with
it would be
Alexander
just
the Great.
maybe the
companions.
week after he just fucked a town up, and then have a great time.
Bang a bunch of boys too.
I would go back and chill with my man Henry VIII. He was
Like you said,
always
Jesus.
No, Jesus wasn't banging anyone. Let's get real.
I thought you were going to say Jesus.
So Henry VIII and his 7 wives or whatever it was, I'm sure their wives have best friends. There was a lot of shit going around France at that time. He was like, or not France, England. So he was. He was having a good time.
Tomato,
I
tomato,
feel
right?
like,
I think Andy would get lost in
Our-
this
our
week's
one-
vacation, and he'd be gone for
Our one viewer from the UK just unsubscribed.
We're sorry, any fans of Henry. If I were to go back,
I really did like the Tudors. I like that show a lot.
if I were to go back, besides the '70s,
Wait, in Africa,
if I were to pick a different spot, I would go. I'd probably go back to the '80s and wear one of those suits in
Just
Miami.
going one decade.
I'd skip a decade ahead. Hey, there were a couple fun eras. Come on, they look fun.
Can I change my answer? Actually, I want to go back to
No.
to the gangster area, and I'm gonna ride with Al Capone and rob banks or whatever, and do
Okay.
whatever it is that he does.
So Andy will be arrested.
No, man, I'm a gangster. I'm not gonna get arrested. I'm gonna break into your
We're
house
going
with
to
night
Alcatraz.
vision goggles and fuck you up.
They don't have night vision goggles back then.
I'm gonna bring them with me. And I'm gonna
There's
be
goggles
rich.
with 2 lights on it.
All right, gentlemen, moving on.
Okay.
We've gone into the past. We've pillaged. We've explored. We've had some fun. We're going to go into the future now. How far would you go? What would you want to see? What would you want to hope for?
That's the biggest moving on I've ever, like, we're going from the past to the future.
We're like going from the 80s to the future.
We go big or we go home on this show. Alex Gurnett, take it away.
Going to the future.
What would you hope to see? What would you do?
I think, quickly, I would go to the future where I'll still be around.
Let's just say, like, no matter how far you go, you're going to be around. You can go a million years. You're going to be your age. You're going to be there.
I think what he's trying to say is like go into the future to see if he.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
see
Sorry,
what
yeah,
I'll
I
actually
got you.
live. My time frame, say I live to 100, so I have another 80 years to live. I'll go another 70 years into the future and see what I get to do in 70 years. I'd love to see what happens in 500 years, but I'm not going to be around then, more than likely. So I'd rather see what's going to happen when I'm around. So I'd probably go like 70 years and see what's happening then.
Alex Gurnett, the greeter at Walmart. Everybody walks in.
Thank you for coming to Walmart. Aisle 10, customer service to aisle 2.
Okay, Andy, you're in the future. You can anything is possible.
You know what? I would go to a point in time, almost like the Mass Effect series, where you're, let's say, on a spaceship and you're going and there's the best of both worlds, because there's the high tech environment that you would currently live in, but you're almost like an explorer in the new way, because you're going to new planets, finding out new ecosystems, new life, and you're seeing what's out there, answering the biggest question that probably anyone's ever asked: what's out there, right?
But are you doing that, or are you getting the answers
You're the one
to being there?
exploring.
Well, you know what? Like, as long as I'm along for the ride, it's not about what's out there
So
for me.
Are we at the observing point right now? Or?
We're at the observing point,
Okay,
let's
yeah.
say. So I want to see where we're at. You know, let's say
Yeah.
it's 3,000 years and we're exploring other planets. I want to see what's out there, how far our technology's come. Are we alone in the universe? Because I don't think we are. I don't think...
That's true, actually.
I think it's impossible to be alone in the universe.
Okay.
And to see where we're going to be and get that sense of... I mean, our world today, it's like every single corner of the world is on GPS, and it's building, and there's nowhere left that's really unexplored. So to get that feeling back, exploring new planets or whatever, I think would be really cool.
Dave Meyer,
The end of time.
the end of time.
Ooh.
I would like to see when the lights go out.
So there was
All
a
right.
beginning.
There has to be an end.
There was a
That's
bang.
cool, though, because that's a
No,
huge...
If
great.
there's one end of
Yeah.
the spectrum, there's got to be the other.
Is it
Yeah.
end of time for humanity, or is it end of
Just the end of
Just
time.
the end of time.
So
Does
the big,
does it end?
So some say it's the big crunch. Some say there's a ton of it. That's actually really
does it
cool.
have to end?
Does it end?
Just for any listeners to the Cool Story Show, we are going to have a podcast about parallel universes and our thoughts about it on a future
Yeah.
day.
Stay tuned in on a
please
later
That's
date.
very cool.
We'll
Like,
be
I
back
love
with
the
that.
3 places we've gone to so far. It's awesome.
Picture yourself at the end of time, laying in the dirt of Earth, looking up, and you just slowly see stars go out. And
But Earth, end of time, Earth.
Are you on Earth? Are you
Yeah, I
like?
bet
maybe you are.
So you're saying at
Maybe
some
Earth is still
point
there,
you're saying
who
at some
knows?
point in the future like the
Little
stars
rocket booster.
go dark, like there's just nothing left.
Yeah.
There's actually a really cool. It's a huge story about it, but it's this guy that he sent out, and he has this artificial intelligence computer that's like, hey, like what happens at a time, and the computer is always just like not enough information to compute, and he's just constantly, he's always alive, and he goes through all of time, and the computer's like not enough information to compute. Finally, this guy ends up dying through entropy. And that's when this computer finally realizes, like, sorry, like, this is actually, like, how the universe ends. But, like, it's not something we can realize till you're there, essentially. Like, sort of be...
It's not something you can comprehend
yeah,
until
but
it happens.
to be there would be actually
Like
amazing.
it's like us trying to comprehend the Big Bang, like the
Yeah.
universe is being created. Like we
Yeah.
kind of have a theory about it, but we don't know
But
what
we
that
think
is.
all of this is, like...
We can-
It started from a pinpoint and then expanded to the universe as we
to
know
everything
so
that is, yeah. A pinpoint to this
I think
room
it
is
kind
big
of, it's
enough.
also like that, like the singularity theory. Like you can't know what to expect until it happens.
Which I think that's...
Also,
actually
we will be
really
having
cool.
a podcast about the singularity at a
Yeah.
later date as well. So stay tuned in for that, listeners.
Also, we're going to have a podcast about being single.
This whole podcast is about new podcasts we're going to put out. Like,
Hashtag Cool Story Show.
It's-
Hashtag Let Lou Live.
yeah.
Hashtag let Lou die.
Hashtag Lou Die. Plus,
So
we are
anyway.
talking about the future. You guys got some good answers. Where I'd like to go, to kind of echo a little bit of what Andy said, like, I'd love to go into the future to the point
2020,
where well, maybe a little bit ahead of Alex and a little bit way behind Dave and a little bit behind Andy is like when we first get to the stars, when we officially are able to get off this planet. Not just like we send a rocket ship up, like when the average guy can just go out to the stars and like
out of our solar system.
Like we have gone past Earth. Like we have some, like we live on the moon. We live like we are like the new frontier. We are exploring our solar system and discovering worlds that we can maybe build a habitat on for ourselves. Because I have to imagine at some point we are gonna fucking destroy Earth.
Well, to add on to that,
if we don't destroy Earth, it's going to be destroyed. Like the sun expands to the point where it burns up there. So it's like we have to.
So to be at that point in the future where like we are able to finally, like, the average person is able to leave Earth and go out into the stars to like try to make a life, that'd be pretty incredible.
To add on to that, like I was saying earlier, I had mentioned the Mass Effect video games. In Mass Effect, they had got the ability to travel our solar system in spaceships, and the premise was they found a piece of technology in Pluto or something like that. And it was actually basically like a warp drive to the rest of the galaxy, and that was the key to getting out of there. So that would be really cool to find out something like that, because it's improbable but not impossible.
I think like this is probably the length of time we've covered. So I went 70 years. I just want to see what I'm going to get to see in my own lifetime. You went a step further and you said, okay, when do we get to leave our own galaxy, which is hopefully completely plausible, and then you say
a step further.
You want to go way
already left our galaxy.
What is pretty much our peak almost? Like, what is the best humanity or whatever is out there can perform?
And then Dave blew our heads off with
what's
the end of time.
What's the end? Like, I think
is the end being having your head blown off. Though maybe it's not. Maybe you transcend.
That's
reality,
like, exactly. Like, I think that's
you never know what the end is until it gets here.
We probably covered the best spectrum of what could happen.
What if we take it down a step notch and say that you come in contact with a time travel that can essentially tell you anything you want about your life?
What would you want to know?
What would you want to know?
About your own life. Personally,
about your own life. What would you ask him?
You can't ask him about anything else.
You can ask him what date and time you die.
I wouldn't want to know that.
Who you marry.
That would affect your whole life so negatively. If I knew I was going to die, I'm 24. If somebody told me that I'm going to die in 3 years, like, that completely changed my life 100%. Like, I'd do everything.
Or would it give you opportunity to do things that you might not have?
But it would change my life.
Would it change your time in history though?
It would. If somebody told you you're going to die in a year, would you go to work tomorrow and do the same thing you do every other day?
But
no.
what if him telling you that you died in a year and you doing the things that you do causes you to die in a year?
Would it give me a chance to change it, or is that set in stone?
Well, I'm saying that maybe that's your timeline, is maybe him telling you that you're dying in a year causes you to respond in a way that makes you die in a year instead of just living your life.
So essentially we have one question to ask, though.
Yes.
As to what? So what would your one question be? It's any question you ask would change how you spend the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I think mine is morbid. They're all morbid and sad. I would say, am I going to die happy?
Yeah, I was thinking that too, to be honest.
I'd want to know if I die happy. And if... It's really shitty if it's set in stone, because if he's like, no, then you're like, well, I guess I may as well live happy then and die not happy. So...
you know what? I won't say, will I die happy? I will just say, like... will I be missed?
I'll tone that down a little bit. Will I die? It's a little bit subjective, but like, will I die alone? Am I going to be like 80 and be like on my own, just like doing my own thing, dead, or am I going to have like a wife, kids, grandkids, a whole family like to look after me? That's what I would want to know. So
does that essentially stem line to maybe you just being afraid that you are going to be alone?
I don't know. It could have to be. I'm curious. That would be my curiosity.
Yeah, that's...
It's hard because...
I hope I'm missed.
It's so hard, because if you said, no, you won't be missed, then you're going to be like...
I'm going to be like, fuck these guys, and that's what's going to make me not missed,
So exactly, right? Well, then, if I'm not going to miss, I may as well do what I want.
Yeah, right.
But if you're saying you're going to die... But it doesn't matter. This is set in stone. He won't be missed no matter what. So, it'd be even... equally interesting to say, okay, he's going to say you'll probably be missed or you won't be missed, but you have the option to change that. So, like, how would you live the rest of your life kind of idea? Like, but that'd be a lot to be told you're not going to be missed. It's kind of like the Christmas Carol, like...
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like, oh, they laugh at his death, but then he, at that point, is like, I gotta change how I'm doing things, so...
Interesting question.
All right, so we've covered the past, we've covered the present, we've covered some time traveler that's going to ask us a question. Now, if you're given the option, Dave Meyer, you can go into the past or you can go into the future. And I realize I said present or past before. If you can go into the future or you can go into the past, to any time into the future, any time into the past, which would you choose and why? But you can only pick one.
Future.
You go into the future to the end of time.
To the end of time or a future point in time. Probably end of time, because even though we kind of have a decent but vague history, we know what the past is.
Can I add to this? Can I add to this?
What?
This last question. You can go into the future or to the past, but you're going to stay there.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Where would you go? Where would you
spending
go?
the
You
rest.
can, so you're right here at this point in time, and you can
You
go
go to the end of the world,
anywhere
I mean, you're there.
anywhere you want into the future or anywhere you want into the past, and that's where you are. Whatever age you are, if you die, you die. Whatever, you are now living in that timeline, in the future or the past. Where would you go?
See, now you just took that and kind of completely turned it around, because where I was saying that if you were to go into the past because you already know the future, it's not as exciting, but now you don't really know what the future is. So let's say I go 2,000 years.
Let's say this to be fair to your question. Let's say if you're going into the future, you know what the past is up until right now. If you're going into the past, you know what is going to be the future is up until this present. I don't know how much that's going to change anything, but you're going there to stay.
But then you're essentially making the decision to, do you want to jump into the unknown and see what's there and live with it for the rest of your life?
That's
Exactly.
the whole point.
That's the
Going
whole
to
thing.
the past
Do you
would
want-
give you way more information because you'd be like, oh, I know
Because
what at
you
least
have an
happens
idea
to...
of what, like, you have an idea of what to expect, but going into the future, you have no idea what
So
to expect.
I'm
Like,
curious. What is your answer?
Like, what's your answer? What do you think?
Do you challenge the unknown, or
I would challenge the unknown.
how far?
2,000 years.
2,000 years and see.
How far humanity has
What do you
advanced.
think? Like you just go to a set. Like, I'm going to go 2,000 years, and I'm going to see where we are.
My birthday, 4014.
Okay. Not at any specific point that you think will happen in, like, human civilization, like space travel. Or
If you take a look, since we started keeping track of our current calendar, 2014 years ago, and you advance that for what technology's done.
We had BC.
Yeah, but it's 2004.
Long, 2,000 plus years.
So if we've done this much in 2014 years, what's going to happen in another 2014 years?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Even you look at the last 150 years, the advancements
even.
there are just unbelievable.
last
We left horses 100 years ago.
100 years ago, and now
And that's like one person's life.
we're
almost.
like 5 years away from cars that drive themselves.
I would honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if within the next 300 years humans were in space.
Okay, okay. So we have Dave, who's going to just take a leap of faith, and he's going to go 2,000 years and see what happens. Andy, what would you do? Same question I put to Dave.
How can you not take a leap of faith? I already know what happened.
You know what happened from, like, the point of view of books and movies and things, but you have no idea what it is to experience things that happened in the past.
Yeah.
But you know what? Books and movies, that's good enough for me.
And you know what? I wouldn't hold it against anybody if they wanted to just say, like, I know what to expect if I were to go back to ancient Rome, and I would want to go do that.
No, I'd
Like that.
I think that when faced with the opportunity to see what becomes of the human civilization, how can you say no, right? Like, I wanna, like I said, I want to get to that point where you can answer a lot of the biggest questions that mankind has ever asked. If you jump into the future, let's say 3,000 years, are we alone in the universe? Does a God exist out there somewhere? You could really find out a lot about humanity by jumping into the future, and so I would take that every time. And maybe the future is awful, but I think that's a risk you have to take if you're looking for answers to some of these questions. So yeah, I would jump in a point in time, I think, where humanity was able to freely leap across different galaxies and see different worlds and stuff like that.
So
I would say maybe like 5,000 years is feasible.
Okay.
Feasible timeline.
So you'd go 2,000, you'd go 5,000 in hopes that was at the point
In
where
hopes, and
humanity
I hope
could
that
spread
the world
across the
hasn't been
stars.
fucking decimated by then.
You might go
Maybe.
5,000 years in the
We've got
future, and it
billions
might.
at least for
Yeah.
the sun to fuck us up.
Okay, Alex. Where?
It's tough. Like, I've
When?
had two
How?
people to think my answer over. Don't get me wrong. I would love to go to the Big Bang, but also I'd love to go a minute before the Big Bang, and that would answer so many questions. Everyone,
But is
the
that
Big
part of
Bang,
time?
exactly. So, as far as we define time, it's from the Big Bang on. So, if we're gonna go with that definition of time, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see the Big Bang. I'd love to see it before that, but that might not exist. But to go into the future, I'd say, and I don't know what the time frame would be, but I'd say not necessarily the end of humanity, but the end of intelligent life forms. Life forms, not necessarily AIs or stuff like that, which could potentially happen, but like end of intelligent life forms. I want to see what the end of that is.
Fair enough.
So, future as well, I guess. Don't get me wrong.
That's a
I'd
more
love-
immediate future, I guess.
I'd love to go way further back. I'd love to go to the beginning of time. Don't get me wrong. But if we have, like they were saying, we have at least options as to what happened then, or generalizations of what happened then.
We know the
Which
course
is-
of what
yeah,
happened,
which is
throughout
some
the world.
It's not satisfying, but it's a little bit satisfying. Whereas in the future, we have nothing that satisfies.
The part about it that seems satisfying to me is we know, like, if I say, like, oh, let's look back at World War One, we know the events
You know the
that took place.
basics,
But
you
it
know,
would
like-
be it'd be satisfying to go back there and live as a person and be like, maybe you could be part
Gain that
of part of
experience.
history,
Well,
be something important that happened at some point. Because I feel like, like nowadays there's nothing like.
That's like almost anything, though. You could say, like, I wish I experienced the Calgary floods more than I did.
Yeah,
It's not
true.
as large
True.
scale, but it's similar, I guess, in a sense.
So your answer is you would go back to the past, Aaron?
I'd want to go back to the past to some event. Just because I would love to experience some of like the turning points in the world. But as much as I'd love to do that, no, I'd have to go to the future and just see what the fuck happens, because like I can't turn that down. I'd go probably farther than you, Andy. I'd just go a million years in the future and just I don't know. I just want to see what happens. Like anything could fucking happen. Like
I think the craziest thing
Anything.
is, okay, so Dave went 2,000, you went 5,000, you went a million, I went end of humanity, whatever that might be.
Mm-hmm.
2,000 years in the grand scheme of things,
It's
nothing.
No.
5,000?
you could be
Nothing.
2,000 years
A
and you could be
million?
sitting at this table and almost everything would look the same.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe
think of it
something.
this way too: dinosaurs 65 million years ago, right?
There's a, have you ever watched Cosmos before? It takes the length of the entire universe into 12 months, and takes like the last day is literally, like December 31st of 1 year is when humanity was born.
Mhm. Yeah.
Everything before that, an entire 364 days, like it's, everything we've picked is
Small.
so
Even I'm
small.
saying, I'm saying a million.
A million is
A million.
so small.
Yeah, like you said, like a dinosaur 65 million years ago. Like we think about that as
Yeah.
not that long, but
The
like I
Earth
say
is
a million.
4.5 billion
Million's not
years,
much.
something
2,000
like that.
is like.
Let me throw a question to you guys. Humanity as a species, what do you think our shelf life is? How much longer do we have to exist? I mean, dinosaurs ruled for millions of years and then they died out. Right?
That's a big question though, because is humanity is this all that there is?
It all depends.
Who
on
knows?
And it depends too.
What else is out there?
Okay, two things.
Two things. It depends on natural disasters,
Which
meteor striking
Okay,
the Earth,
yeah.
sun killing us, whatever, and us being peaceful.
I would counter that, and I would say it depends on natural disaster, which is not in our control. Like a meteor hits the planet, whatever.
Yeah,
We're dead.
It counts on us. We destroy the planet. We have a nuclear war. Anything like we could destroy ourselves completely. And the third factor is, what if we're not alone? What if there is some other form out there? What if we run into another life form and they want to eradicate us? What if we run into another life form that are superiorly intelligent and they want to like help us and like bring
Right.
us into the galaxy? Anything could happen.
But on that, what if we run into other life forms that humanity is able to further ourselves with?
Augment
So,
themselves.
yeah, exactly. When do you...
Vulcans.
Seriously, though, like, so when do you decide, even robotics, though, when do you decide humanity is gone because we kept going so far into, there's this planet of intelligent life forms, and there's us, and we start to slowly mix in, and then you pull
It's
apart.
kind of like the singularity argument that I'm talking about with the robots. Like,
Upcoming
at what point do you
When's
cease being humanity and be something else? That's my question. How much longer do you think until humanity, as we currently define it, is gone? Like, and what do you think?
And
like,
the definition will probably always change.
and let's say that there's not any natural disasters that were peaceful.
Yeah, it's without that. If we
Without
didn't get blown our fucking planet up, like
I'll say to the point of singularity maybe within the next 5,000 years.
And on that note, we'll talk more about that in an upcoming podcast.
We will, yes.
All about the
Sorry to
singularity.
sidetrack.
All about the singularity. To wrap up here, everybody.
I've got one last question.
Okay,
which
Dave, take it away.
Hopefully we can wrap this up.
No,
quickly.
absolutely.
One of the coolest facts about space and time that blow your mind.
The coolest fact about anything about space and time
Yeah.
is that it's more or less, as far as we know, that it's infinite. Which I can't even comprehend what the fuck that even
observable
means.
universe.
I have no idea what
Yeah.
even infinite means.
Yep.
It's infinite. It could go on forever.
Same answer.
I think I wouldn't say same, but Neil deGrasse Tyson actually put it together perfectly. It's like a lot of people when they look up at space, they feel really small because honestly, like us compared to all that, we're a speck of nothing. But it's cool to feel big because everything that makes up this Earth, our sun, the other suns, is the same stuff that makes us up. We're made of star matter, like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. All those elements have been put together
We're
by
connected to
stars that collided with other stars. Like all of that shit is what, in turn, eventually turned into us to be able to comprehend that. And I think that is just mind-blowing to me.
absolutely.
The thing that I like about it is that we don't know anything about it. It's we don't know a single thing about the universe, about the galaxy, about in a time where our world right now, like I said earlier, is mapped out to the point where there's no sense of exploration or no sense of feeling new. You look out there and everything's new. We don't know a single thing about anything out there, and that to me is the most exciting and best part about that.
Diamond?
Mine comes from, I don't remember who explained it to me, but it's essentially a premise on infinity, and it's I can take my two fingers and touch them together, or touch anything, and you could mathematically divide the space between my fingers touching into infinity, which means technically they're not touching.
They're not. That's quantum physics. They're not actually touching.
That's
Yeah.
the coolest
Because
thing.
the molecules in the air around your fingers are touching, not your actual fingers.
Yeah.
So nothing is actually touching anything.
Physics like
Which is insane.
describes like from the very smallest, the fact that I'm not touching you right now, to literally like black holes and
Yeah.
supernovas and stuff like that. It describes all of that stuff that is trillions times bigger than anything. That we
It's
do.
a sense of mystery.
Yeah.
Sense of the unknown.
So my biggest thing is infinity.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Cool Story Show. This is Aaron. You can find me on acorbett48.
D Myers 7.
Gurnett A.
Spiteri 316.
Okay, everybody. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.